Good morning. Welcome to the Prog Den, and I am the Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show. Today we are going to do a look back at a classic album by this band. And this album came out, it was their third album, and came out after their Fly By Night release the same year, released September 1975 on Mercury Records, I believe, in the States, and on Anthem Records in Canada. Anyways, it features, of course, the band members, Geddy Lee on bass and vocals, Alex Lifeson on all the guitars, and Neil Peart playing both drums and percussion instruments. It was released at the Sound Studio in Toronto. And of course, we're talking about Caress of Steel. For me, this is a master album. I have 5 master albums by Rush. One of the most by any bands for me. Initially, this album didn't perform very well, at least not to the general public. Actually, when Rush did the tour for this album, they called it the End of the Road Tour because they felt that the album wasn't doing that well and that this could be the end of the band. However, even though it didn't sell particularly well and seemed to be a bit of a downturn, I personally think it was one of their best albums. And of course, it's much more prog oriented than the original first two. The first one was more of a heavy rock blues album, and then they had some elements of that on Fly By Night, but there was some movement towards a progressive sound on the album, and this one takes that further, much further actually. This album isn't as heavy, even though it's called Caress of Steel. It's not as heavy as Fly By Night, but it has more storytelling than the previous albums. I think the reason that it's one of my favorite albums is just for that. It tells stories, and I relate to a lot of the stories because a couple of them feature places in around the Toronto area where I grew up as a kid. And the bass, the drums, the bass, and the guitar take it to new heights here. There's some classical bits in here as well that Alex demonstrates. Anyways, we'll just do a song-by-song look at the album. Bastille Day is the heavy song on the album, to my way of thinking. It's kind of it comes in nicely. It ties in with their kind of Fly-By-Night era, where the song maybe have been able to fit into Fly-By-Night because it kind of has a similar, heavier sound to it. Talks about the French Revolution, and it's got an interesting kind of riff to it. Alex Lifeson was very good at inventing riffs, on the song Anthem. This kind of has that same kind of riff feeling to it that Anthem does. It's not something it's not a common riff you'll hear in a lot of rock music, but it's quite catchy. I really like this song quite a bit. It stood the test of time for me, and was originally one of the mainstays on their tour. I don't know that it has been or was more in the recent years, but a great tune from this album to start off. I Think I'm Going Bald is originally thought it was more of a filler song, but after a while they did talk about how it was more of a takeoff on Kiss's I'm Going Blind. It was kind of a parody on it, if you wanted. Canadians, we tend to have a bit of a wacky sense of humor, and Rush is no different than most Canadians. They have that same kind of wacky sense of humor. So the third song is Lakeside Park, and Lakeside Park was a song that I heard fairly early on in my Rush collection. This album I didn't get initially right away. The first two I had were Permanent Waves and Fly By Night, and then I got the Rush album, and then this one came. It was my fourth album, and I actually didn't care for it initially. I thought it was very different, and at that time in my youth, I was probably in 16 or 17. To me, it just sounded kind of a production I didn't think was great, and the music was a little different than I was used to, but it's steadily grown on me. So anyways, with the song Lakeside Park, it started out as probably the song next to Bastille Day that I like the most on the album. And then it eventually, over time, has become my favorite Rush song, and has been for some time now. I think it's because it talks about the port in Port Dalhousie, where I've been quite a bit in my youth, and later when my family moved to that area, we went there quite a bit. And every time I go there, of course, I think of this song, a song written for Neil Peart about his home area. Anyways, we get to the last song on the first side, which is on the LP, that is, the Necromancer, a song that talks about how do I say it? Like a Lord of the Rings feel to it, I guess, is if you want. It's a story of travelers going into the lands to fight an evil sorcerer, and in this case, it's the Necromancer. And actually, the journey talks about places I'm familiar with, Willowdale and the Don River and those type of places. And it's kind of a parody of Rush's life. They grew up. Well, at least Geddy Lee and Alex grew up in Willowdale, which is a suburb of Toronto. The Don River goes through that and comes down into Toronto, which is where the Necromancer was, so the evil Toronto. So, it's kind of a play on the story there, which I enjoy because I relate to it. The song itself is quite good as well. Then we get to me, the crowning achievement of this album, which is the Fountain of Lambeth, the story of the search for immortality and youth. It's got many parts in it. My favorite particular part in this is I'm gonna need my glasses to read this because I'm not gonna be able to see it properly. Yeah, Bacchus Plateau and Panacea, those are my two favorite parts of it. Panacea is kind of a mellow song that shows Alex Lifeson's acoustic abilities, and then Bacchus Plateau, I really like that build up to the final part, the Fountain. Anyways, the album was produced by Rush and of course Terry Brown, which all their original albums were, and it's a very good album. It takes a little bit of listening to get into, which is quite common with progressive albums of any stature or any quality, and this one's no different. Ranks right up there among my favorite albums, at least by Rush anyways. And there you have it, Caress of Steel by Rush. Anyways, I thank you. If you liked the video, please do a like for me, and if you want me to do more Rush or particular more stuff, please make a comment in the comment section, and subscribe if you want me to do more content. Coming up, we'll be doing some more look backs for this week, continuing this week, and we'll be doing the top 10 of Styx, which I'm looking forward to putting together. The last one I did, the Kiss one, you can still find it in the thing there. It was a little bit harder than I thought because Kiss had such a big volume of songs that I liked that it was hard to separate the top 10 from some of the other songs that I think could have easily made that top 10. And I'm expecting the same thing will happen with Styx. Styx doesn't have as quite a big a volume as Kiss, but they have some of my favorite rock songs and albums are from that group. Anyways, so I hope you like the video, and we'll be talking to you soon. Look forward to seeing you. So this is Prog Monster out. Have a good day.